But anyway, welcome to San Francisco Zine Fest 2023. This is Thinking Captions Zine Reading. This is our order of events. We're going to have an intro for a bit, go over some house rules and expectations, artist presentations who are here. We'll take questions and comments. Ignore the minutes. They're just there for now. We'll do what we need to do. A little bit about San Francisco Zine Fest. We were founded in 2001 as a gathering place for writers and artists from around the world, but especially the Bay Area. One of the cool things about this year's fest actually is the youngest exhibitor we have is a 5-year-old who's tabling with his dad. So it's going to be fantastic. We also have some elementary school kids tabling as a group, and middle schoolers and high schoolers, of course. The festival is typically held as a one-day event in Golden Gate Park, but last year, well, prior to that, 2 years of pandemic, so we were online. We were very foolish because we thought in 2020 we would just put on 21 consecutive days of online programming, having never tried that. We pulled it off, I guess, because we're still here. And then the next year, we were like, let's do 10 days. That seems a bit more manageable. And then last year, we moved to City View at the Metreon, and that's where we are this year. And this year, we have over 230 exhibitors tabling. This is a safer spaces policy that we have posters for throughout the festival, and just, well, folks recognize it. You can read it, but I will also read it. We are committed to providing a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, or religion. We will not tolerate harassment at SF Zine Fest events in any form. Individuals violating the Safer Spaces policy may be sanctioned or expelled from the space or the event at the discretion of any SF Zine Fest organizer. And of course, we're at Silver Sprocket, so at their discretion as well, because this is an event here. Basically, respect people's opinions, beliefs, differing states of being, and differing points of view. Always get explicit verbal consent before taking someone's photo or crossing other personal boundaries. Be responsible for your actions and be aware that they may have an effect on others regardless of your original intent. A safe and respectful community is everyone's responsibility. And wear a mask, which all of you are. Thank you. Just some stuff that is happening, upcoming events. We have a kickoff party that's happening tomorrow at Mission Comics. It's going to be from 6 to 9. Play bingo, win some prizes, eat food and beverages, and just meet other folks. It's been a way for especially out-of-town folks to just come meet other organizers or exhibitors, volunteers, everyone. And of course, you're going to be supporting a local bookstore to do that. And they're just a couple blocks away that way. San Francisco Zine Fest. This is the official poster for it, designed by Maia, Kobabe, who's right here. Is one of our readers today. It's happening on September 3rd, and it's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We have a panel called Zines and Beyond, which will happen from 1 to 2 p.m. that day, and of course, a Q&A with Maia, and it's going to be moderated by Justin Hall, and that's from 3 to 4 p.m. We make sure that all of our events have ASL interpretation, so we have Nicole, who's interpreting now, and Rob, who will be interpreting also. And of course, after all that, because we just want to keep being tired all the time, there's also an after party right here at Silver Sprocket from 7 to 9:30 p.m. where you get to be here and hang out with folks and just kind of, I don't know, slow down. I don't know, do something. I don't know why. There were like 60 people here last year, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? I'm tired. And then I could definitely just read some of these profiles. Maia Kobabe, if you don't know, is the author and illustrator of Gender Queer, a memoir, which won a Stonewall Honor and an Alex Award from the American Library Association in 2020. It was also the #1 most challenged book in the US in 2021. Maia's short comics have been published by The New Yorker, The Nib, The Washington Post, and in many print anthologies. I believe it's also the most challenged book last year too, so 2022 as well. So we're gonna keep it going. Let's make it 3 for 3, 2023, got this. Hopefully that's been good for you, I don't know. If it hasn't, then maybe not, let's not do that. Yeah, good call. I'm just gonna read all of your profiles and then Maia, you can present. That way, you're done with me immediately, and then you get to hear our wonderful readers. Laura Gao is a queer artist, author, bread lover, and everything in between. Originally from Wuhan, China, Gao immigrated to Texas, where their art career began by doodling on Pokemon cards and has since blossomed to be featured on NPR, Museum of Chinese in America, and most notably, their parents' fridge. After graduating from the University of Pennsylvania, Gao published the viral webcomic, The Wuhan I Know, in response to anti-Asian racism during COVID-19. This inspired their graphic memoir, Messy Roots, which debuted on the 2022 Indies bestsellers list and has been shortlisted for the Harvey Award, Goodreads Choice Award, Texas Maverick List, and Golden Poppy Award. Besides drawing and fending off early onset back pain, Gao enjoys climbing and binging SNL. They teleport between the Bay Area and Asia with their two precious babies, an iPad Pro, and a silver racing bike. Aww. Christine Suggs. Suggs. Thank you. Christine Suggs is a comic artist and designer living in Dallas, Texas, with their wonderful partner, one dog and two cats. Also, thank you for flying in. Yeah. Their debut book is a YA graphic novel about spending their summers in Mexico as a teen. Ay, Mija, released in spring 2023 from Little Brown Young Readers. Christine's work explores the intersection of their identities, namely being a queer, fat, Latinx feminist who loves all things cute. Bonus facts, their day job is in app design. They're an avid Dungeons & Dragons player, and they're quite obsessed with their cats. I mean, who isn't? Everyone's obsessed. Swati Lucky Srikumar was born in Singapore to Indian immigrants before moving to California as an adult. They draw comics exploring different ever-changing aspects of their identity, including gender, race, disability, and cat ownership. I know. They love making people laugh and making art. They never grew out of their punk phase and are currently procrastinating on cleaning the litter box. I feel that. Oh, okay, there you go. Just They are the co-author with Maia Kobabe of Saachi Stories, due out from Scholastic Graphics in 2025. Yay, I'm just going to stop here now. Thank you all for listening to me.
Woo, okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. So many faces that I recognize in this audience. It's really lovely to see all of you. I am very excited to be here with my fellow co-authors. And I invited people who I thought, if you like my work, you should like all of theirs. And if you are a fan of any one of them, you'll probably be a fan of all of us. So that was sort of like one of the thoughts, my thought process of who to invite. So please enjoy work that you hopefully really enjoy. I am going to read a brief scene from my memoir, Genderqueer. I decided to talk to my mom about it. I know I told you ages ago that I'm bi, but I think now that I'm probably genderqueer too. What do you mean? Well, I'm still sorting out what it means and how to explain it. But, I've never felt female or identified with being female. Specifically things like having breasts or having a period. No one likes having their period. I mean, I know. But I feel like it goes deeper than that for me. My whole life I've wished for a magical way to switch between genders. So that you could be male sometimes? Sort of, but not exactly. It's more about not being female than being male. You don't have to be a super feminine to be a woman. I'm not. I know. But you don't hate having a vagina, do you? No, of course not. I hope you don't hate your body. No, I don't hate my body. I don't have chronic pain or any of the other health issues so many of my friends deal with. The majority of my body is great. There are just a few bits that I don't like. For example, if I could just remove my entire reproductive system, that would be ideal. But what about having kids? I have told you 100 times, I am never having children. I wish you wouldn't say that. You'd be such a good mom. No, I wouldn't. I'd be constantly resenting the kid for taking up all of my time. I am way too selfish for parenting. Plus, the thought of growing a parasite being inside my own body makes me want to vomit. Parasite? What? About 24 hours later. I want you to know that I never thought of you as a parasite while I was pregnant. Oh, good. I remember when I first realized I never had to have children. It was like walking out of a narrow alley into a wide open field. I never have to get married. I never have to date anyone. I don't even have to care about sex. These realizations were like gifts that I gave to myself. Jaina and I lost touch with each other and only reconnected at the New Year's Eve party in 2015. What have you been up to for the past decade? I've been ordained as a pagan priestess. And I identify as non-binary now. Wow, me too. Tell me more. For me, female presentation has always been a performance, a fun performance with sequins, glitter, and wild hair. But for a lot of my life, I felt like a drag queen in a female body. That makes perfect sense. I've been thinking about switching to they/them pronouns, but for some reason it doesn't feel quite right. What pronouns do you use? I use the specific pronouns em, air, as in ask M what E wants in air T. Em, air? I love those pronouns. I just got the biggest tingle down my spine. That was my reaction too. Asking people to start using new pronouns for me feels like such a huge request though. I know people will mess up, and then what do? If I correct someone, will they get mad? I'd love to use these pronouns, but I don't want to inconvenience people. So instead of asking people to do something to make you feel more comfortable, you'd rather just feel a little uncomfortable all the time? You'd rather internalize and carry that discomfort every time someone who loves you misgenders you? Well, when you put it that way. As I pondered a pronoun change, I began to think of gender less as a scale and more as a landscape. Some people are born in the mountains, while others are born by the sea. Some are happy to live in the place they were born, while others must make a journey to reach the climate in which they can flourish and grow. Between the ocean and the mountains is a wild forest. That is where I want to make my home. Thank you.
First of all, another round of applause. That was an amazing reading by Maia. I'm so grateful Maia got to invite me to this. Maia, your graphic memoir was actually one of the very first ones I read, and it made such a big difference on me when thinking about my own gender identity. And now I also identify as non-binary, so I use she and they pronouns. But yeah, I would love to talk about now my own comic journey and do a reading of my own graphic memoir, Messy Roots, as well. So let's get started. Awesome. So this is me right here on the left. This is May 2020. It was my birthday, which explains the onesie. And then it's also the day that I actually got my book deal for Messy Roots. So it's a very, very momentous and special day for me. And that is Messy Roots right there, my graphic memoir. Thank you. Yeah, I know the shop also has some copies, so if you'd like to get your own to read during the reading, please feel free to do so. But I always say, start off your presentation with your most embarrassing photo, so it can only go upwards from there. So let's start off with a little test. I guess you can't really see my face now. Usually when, I guess pre-COVID, you could. But this is me and my cousins. Do folks want to quickly shout out, who do you think I am between me and my cousins? And they're also in the book, so that's why this is relevant.
Far right? Far right.
Wow, y'all are really good. Apparently, I do look like a carbon copy of my 2-year-old self. So yes, that is me, and this is me and my cousins. I like to include pages from the book since now I'm talking about myself and my life, but this is me and my cousins. We grew up in my grandparents' old rural countryside farm in Wuhan, China. That's my grandma, totally like a badass woman who loved to run around with a butcher's knife that she always kept around for some reason, just in case any of us got in trouble, which we often did, and chased us around with it. So this says, oh right, and our lovely grandma, Po Po, although she never finished second grade, she had a PhD in getting kids in line. And then after growing up, some of my early childhood in China, I immigrated with my family when I was pretty young, and we settled down in Texas. And so this is also another scene from the book. This is when my little brother was just born, and he is the very first one to be born in the US. So we named him Jerry, and my dad says, it's fitting, like Jersey, the first place we landed in. And so Jerry Gao was born that day, the first official American of the family. And fun fact, I named him after Tom and Jerry. Art has always been a big part of my life. You can kind of see the progression of like, this is some of my earliest work when I was just a little kid. I love drawing animals and superheroes. So naturally, this is a super cat. And then this is my dog that I drew. And then later on in high school, that's when I started really exploring more like identity, emotions, like inner conflict. And then now this is some of my work today, which is a whole range of things. As you can see, just mainly a lot of gay content. So yeah. I also do some stuff for NPR. And as you read in the bio, what really started off my career was when I had this webcomic go viral, and that turned into Messy Roots as we know it today. So I would like to read a few pages from Messy Roots for everyone in the audience here. All right, so this is, I just finished Chinese school. It was pretty bad because I did not pay attention as always. I was a very bad Chinese student, but here I am. I'm waiting for my dad to pick me up, and I get a text on my old like chocolate phone, like kind of like the flip thing, from Jessie with all the other like cool kids at school, and she's like, "Oh, you're missing out. We were at the mall," and I'm of course at Chinese school of all places. And then I reach in to my pocket. I grab my Chinese test. I did terribly on it. And I say, everyone spoke English. Why did I have to learn one of the hardest languages in the world? Mandarin had everything from complex roots to characters that look like chicken scratch. I like to imagine each word as a drawing. So this is the traditional version, the word I, which means love. And, me being a budding artist, always remembered it by breaking it down to different different drawings. At the top, you see a roof hiding lovers from their nosy parents. And then right under it, tears of laughter and a warm embrace from the couple. I lost most of the Chinese I knew early on, and calls with my family in Wuhan were rare. So this is me talking to my grandma. And if you haven't caught by now, everything in blue is assumed to be said in Chinese. So I was like, hey, Nai, which is my grandma. This week I had, one sec. Baba, how do you say basketball tryouts? And then he yells back, 篮球选拔赛. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. 篮球, 赛. And my grandma says, oh, cool, how did they go? And then imagining this whole saga of basketball tryouts. Nai says, great conversations were like exhilarating badminton matches, one swing feeding off the energy of the other serve. But ours could barely make it over the net. And so instead of telling her everything I actually wanted to say, I just say, I'll let you know when I find out. And then so it's back to Chinese school now, and here, beep, beep, my dad's here, picking me up. It's like, how was Chinese class? Like, the same, just got homework on our hometowns. And dad's like, oh, do you want help from mama and me? like, nah, I'll just Google it. Like, you kids are so spoiled. When we were learning English at LSU, we memorized every page of the dictionary. I'm like, sure, whatever, Dad. And then my dad puts in like a CD disc, a very old object now, into the car, and it starts playing. It says, Lesson 4, promotions. Can we discuss opportunities for promotion? And my dad, he's like trying to learn English because he's taking a citizenship test soon. So he says, can we discuss opportunities for promotion? And I'm like, opportunities, Dad, opportunities. He's like, oh, okay, opportunities for promotion. And then I'm like, yeah, thumbs up. And it's like cute little moment here. But then suddenly I freak out because I see all the cool kids hanging out at the mall without me. Yes, I'm sad. So I'm like, being all angsty at home now because, I just feel all this FOMO from not going. And says the truth was I could have ditched Chinese school if I tried, but I was afraid I'd stick out among Hank and his friends. And Hank was my crush at the time. And they were all so damn hot, like the High School Musical actors with their gorgeous, sleek locks. I tried everything from dyeing to straightening to shaving off my thick black hair. But the roots grew back even more tangled. My mom proudly said her jeans were to thank for my hair. Frankly, the only jeans I wanted were the ripped ones on Abercrombie models, but she said that's what poor people wear. And then so I'm about to like shave off my eyebrow, which later on, after I published, I found out was actually a ubiquitous experience for many teens. Has anyone else tried to shave off their eyebrow? Oh, wow. Okay. Quite a few. Okay, cool. I'm glad, we have representation in this room. So I'm trying to shave it off, and then suddenly someone yells, "Jit," which is Chinese for sister. So yes, I did end up shaving off half my eyebrow by accident. I'm like, crap. And I slam over the bathroom door. What the fudge do you want, Jerry? And Jerry, the little angel, is like, Mom says we're going to the library. All right, so that's the end of that reading. And then, I think I have time for like one short one now. So I'll do this one really quickly because this is, I want to focus now in on the Chinese side of the story. This is the first time I go back to Wuhan since emigrating and reconnecting with my cousins. So I just had a day out with my cousins. They buy a bunch of like Chinese snacks. Hopefully some folks can like recognize quite a few of them. So my cousin says, got some of everything so Yang can try them. It's like, white rabbit candy. I'd always sneak them into our carts at the Asian marts. And then my other cousin, Lulu, says, they're a favorite. So chewy and milky. And you can, and we all say, eat the inside wrapper. And my cousin Tanja says, I've always wondered, what's school like over there? And then trying to do this like video game thing. I'm like, Chinese vocab locked. Require passing Chinese grade. And then my other cousin Lulu is fine. He's like, is it like High School Musical? And I'm like, what? You've seen High School Musical? Nothing like bringing girls from opposite sides of the world together than High School Musical. So yeah, so we all do start dancing it together. And my cousins are like, we watched it in English class, and we still like do the dance together. And then we just end on this really sweet moment where I say, honestly, I wish Coppell, which is the very small, super white conservative town in Texas I grew up in, was like the school in High School Musical. Everyone knew the words to the songs and danced the same beat, regardless of their background or interests. I didn't feel ready to answer their question. I mean, I barely have figured it out myself. And then my cousin's like, wasn't Troy so cute? I'm like, Gabriella too. And then our oldest cousin, Tanja, she's like, hey, you two aren't old enough to have crushes yet. That summer, I met more family members I knew existed. And this is my Popo, the butcher knife wielding one. She's like, this is my American Sunyu. And Sunyu means granddaughter. And I'm like, Popo, stop saying that. They always like to stress the fact that I'm American. And I picked up more Chinese than I ever had in Chinese school. So I'm like running away. And she says, Saohuo, with her like butcher knife. And that's a bad word, FYI. So you're welcome. Well, maybe not the Chinese my parents wanted me to learn. Before I knew it, the trip was coming to an end. So we're sleeping. It's the night before we had to fly out. And Lulu, she sneaks under the cover. She's like, tss, Yang. Lulu? I can't sleep. I don't want this to end so quickly. Same, we were starting to feel like real sisters. But our flight... Oh no. I know that look. And then here we go, sneaking down the stairs. So we have like us sneaking past our oldest cousin, Lulu, who's kind of like the mom of the group. And we're like walking down the panels, which are also the stairs. And we're like looking left and right. And then suddenly, Nikama! And this is Wuhanese for like basically, what the hell are you doing? And we're like, oh no, we've been caught. So then we run out, and our oldest cousin Lulu actually caught us. But this ends up being this like really fun moment where we just like run out, and I narrate here. I knew we were due for a whooping, but as we ran beneath the infinite stretch of stars, for the first time, this place felt like mine too. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening.
Hello. Y'all ready for more language comics? Bienvenidos. So I am surprise half Mexican. I say surprise because a lot of people don't know that. The last name Suggs is white, as is my father. I am what you would call Tex-Mex. Half redneck, half Mexican, and all here. So yeah, I was raised in Longview, Texas, and that is in East Texas. Anyone seen the movie Bernie with Jack Black? That is the best way to understand East Texas as a region that exists in media. It's very scarily accurate. They even reference the escalator in Sears. That was a fun place to be. But yeah, that's the kind of town I'm talking about, where the escalator in Sears is a big deal. So I grew up in the 90s in a small town. I was a fat, half Mexican, gay but didn't know it, and had a lot of feelings about those things, and that's what this book is about. This book, Mija, My Bilingual Summer in Mexico, came out in April of this year. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, I think it had to be my first book. It's very personal. It is a YA memoir, kind of combining my two trips that I took to Mexico by myself. I was 16 in this trip. And so yeah, it takes place in 2009. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else you need to know before I jump in, but you'll figure it out. This little orange guy, that's little Christine. And they're basically like my inner monologue, my little friend. They help with translating too, so you'll see them pop up. So yeah, don't worry if you don't speak Spanish, because I don't either. And I wrote it. My grammar is so bad. Because when you half learn a language and also only learn the casual side of it, when you go to school, you're like, what is this future tense? We just say yo voy a whatever. Like, I don't need a future tense. That's too fancy. And accent marks? No. I don't know where those go ever. So yeah, this is basically about going to Mexico for the first time by myself, getting thrown into that culture, and being with people that I love so, so much and cannot have a conversation with. Okay, let's get going. We're going to jump into chapter 5. So for my chapter openings, I used inspiration of Talavera tiles. And so I designed a set, and I reused some of them throughout the book, but each one kind of hints at what's going to happen in that chapter. So this time, we have naked ladies, papayas, and a cricket. So let's see where they show up. All right, sleepy teen Christine cruising down the hallway. We've got the basically museum amount of photography of family pictures. And it's kind of funny because photos were just more printed then, like you would have all the same pictures you have at home of like your cousins and stuff, but just in a different house. All right. I'm going to have to speak Spanish, so hold on. Get my Spanish mouth on. Okay. This is my grandmother. I'm not allowed to call her grandmother. It makes her feel old. So I call her Mama Isabel. So you all should too. Do not make her feel old. All right, so this is Mama. Buenos dias, Cris. That's what they call me in Spanish. It's Chris, but sounds like Cris, like a paper. Buenos dias, Mama. ¿Tienes hambre? Sí, un poquito. ¿Te gustan los licuados? Sí, mi mamá cocina los. Sorry, I don't know the word for blending. I still don't. Breakfast is a multi-course meal here. The boxed milk tastes gross to me. No offense to anyone who likes it. More pan dulce, the best. Licuado is a banana smoothie with a touch of cinnamon and vanilla, just like Mom makes at home. Pro tip, papaya is a laxative, so be careful. You're going to be walking around the city all day. Just play it safe. You learn to eat slowly, or Mama will try to refill your plate. It's like the first lesson. Ay, no más, mamá, por favor. Ay, mija, tienes una pancita, pero estás muy guapa. Si haces ejercicio, desaparecerá pronto. No, that's not going to happen. Panza, stomach, exercise. Oh. Buenos dias, Cris. This is my aunt, Tia Mari. It's very freaky when you line up the sisters. It's like a gradient of faces. They all look the same. And she looks exactly like a mix between my mom and my aunt. And it's always so weird when I see her in person again. I'm like, oh, hello. My family all has the same body shape. It feels nice being around people who look like me. Still, I know it bothers everyone that we're fat. Bothers me too. I used to think I'd lose my baby fat like my brother did when he hit a growth spurt. It's him playing soccer. He got fast and good at soccer, and I did not. It never happened. Do all families eat like ours? This is my grandfather. His not abuelo name is Papa Sebastian. At home, we have a joke that when you talk about plans for food while you're eating, it's called being Mexican. We do that a lot. Maybe it's just part of our culture. Me plugging up a big old chunky 2000s laptop and messaging with my mom. Hey, Mom, finally got on the Wi-Fi. Took forever. Hey, baby, miss you already. Glad you got the computer working. How's the Spanish going? It's fine. Just getting used to it, I guess. Be patient. They love you very much. Take lots of pictures for us. Love you. Okay, so we're leaving the apartment here. And I see a neighbor. And she doesn't know who I am. It's weird having the whitest complexion in the family. Es mi nieta, la hija de Vero. Nieta is like granddaughter. Mucho gusto. Quick note, I use she, her pronouns in this because this is 2009. I did not know what the word non-binary was. All right, so we're walking down the street here. I'm looking up at the big city. That's the Pemex building. If you're familiar with Mexico City, that's kind of the neighborhood where my grandparents live. At least the taxis don't upcharge us. They do that whenever Dad comes along. We get gouged. All right, so we're making our way on the little Pesero bus. That's like a little green bus that drives like a bat out of hell. Super fun. Walking down the street to another one of Mexico City's fantastic landmarks, which is nudie magazines, like everywhere. Fun fact, I didn't know all women had nipples because I watched a lot of Spanish television where they would blur out the nipple. So I was like, am I weird? Am I supposed to have these? Anyway. So yeah, I'm definitely eyeing up some ladies until my grandmother's like, hey, let's go. Vente, Christine. And I scurry on off. Chapultepec is a traditional visit for me. I've toured it a million times, but I always forget the story until the next time I visit. So this is kind of a flashback, little ghosts in the scene of myself and my older brother, Grady. Grady and I were too busy making up games. We'd pretend there were trapdoors everywhere to trick the Americans. The castle was the site of a battle during the Mexican-American War. My dad was a Marine, like the US soldiers who fought here. I wonder if it was strange for him and Mom to come here together. I try to sketch the mural, but it's too much, too intense. The story goes that one of the young cadets threw himself off the castle to stop the enemy from getting the Mexican flag. They call him one of los niños héroes. It's a really beautiful mural if you ever get a chance to go. The kind of mascot of the park, which is one of like the largest green spaces in like the country, I think it might be the largest in Mexico, like urban park wise, is a little cricket. He's cute. My parents had their first date at a nearby cafe. My mom was a translator working at the American Embassy. She was one of the only Mexicans on her floor. You had to get clearance to work there. She was just 24 when she met my dad. They got engaged within 7 months and married 2 months after that. Oh, real quick, my dad pointed out the chevrons are upside down. Like probably the second thing he said to me about my book. It's like, thanks, Dad. Seems so risky to me to take a chance like that. So these are like indigenous dancers. They do this wicked, crazy stunt dance off of this pole. It's really cool. And they're like playing these instruments while they do it. It is nuts. Will I ever love someone so much to leave everything I've ever known? I guess I'm doing it now in a way. ¿Lista? Sí, vámonos. I wonder what it was like. Subway home. When Mom got to the States, it must have been so different from her life here. She went from working in an embassy to taking fast food jobs. Now she works for the school district. Can you get me the easy math, teacher? We'll see. She did not. My mom is the smartest person I know, but she can't get promoted because she doesn't have a college degree. Got a little bit of chapter 6 here. Some days in the city are quiet. My feet are grateful for the break. Here's me listening to probably either emo music or early indie rock, way too loud. ¿Puedo ayudar? Ay, no, mija. No hace falta. I'm way too spoiled around here. Ándale, vete a la silla. Por favor, mamá, quiero ayudarte. Yeah, let us help, Mama. We nap together a lot. Quick note, the rose here is from a really bad good telenovela called La Rosa de Guadalupe, and it is like a weird morality tale every time, like, this teen's in trouble, we better pray, and like, then a miracle happens, and a rose shows up, and the problem gets fixed. It's really fun. Okay, it's strange being so loved by someone you can't even have a full conversation with. Strange, but nice. All right, that's all I got today. Thank y'all so much. All right, and next we have Lucky.
Okay, so I guess I have to write a memoir because because you all did. And as you were reading each of them, I was like, I relate to this, but in a different way. And I relate to that, but in a different way. And I'm also an immigrant twice. Actually, I was born in Singapore to Indian immigrants. And so I was never Singaporean enough and I was never Indian enough. And then I came to America. And now my whole family is like, you're American. Which is why I stylize my name as Swathi Lucky Srikumar, because it's like, I'm not letting go of the Swathi part. That's still me. But Lucky is more gender neutral. So this comic is called Freak. I was told that girls mature faster than boys. Girls had better handwriting. Girls were always neat and clean. Girls studied hard, always. I would expect this behavior from a boy. You're a girl. Do better. I heard this kind of thing from teachers a lot. And I thought it was unfair as hell, by the way. Like, I had a brother and my parents tried to do the same stuff to me, and I'd be like, but he's allowed to. And they'd have to back off. But I wouldn't say that to teachers. It was too scary. Other girls seemed to hold this high standard easily. Why couldn't I? This is also a metaphor about how I'm bad at sports. I guess I've always been a freak. I never really got why. By the way, I hate when people do that. I can hear you. And I know. I grew up in Singapore. I was the only Indian girl in my class. Every morning, my mom braided my hair with coconut oil. This is our culture. We'd never questioned it. I drew this very peaceful, but usually there was yelling involved. But the girls in my class hated the smell of the coconut oil. They avoided me and made fun of me. I wondered if something was wrong with me. I stood alone. This is Singapore, which is why I always have frizz. I used to have a halo of frizz because of the humidity. It's been about 20 years since then. And I love being different. I've made a home in a community of people who all grew up being freaks. I never doubt that I'm important to them. I'm not that little girl anymore. I'm not even a girl. I wonder what she'd think of me. Like, especially because she was so girl power rah-rah. I think she would be a little disappointed. We were supposed to be a cool girl. It's like, we're still cool. I wish I could hug her and tell her that it's going to be all right. I'm so proud of that little freak. I love you. That's it.
Okay, we have one last short reading that is going to be a group effort. So we're going to get all four voices. I guess you guys could, yes, maybe stand, and we can each share like one mic between 2 and 2. Yeah, okay. I'm so excited. So this is a very small sample from the upcoming book that Lucky and I've written. You are the first people to see it outside of like our agent, our editor, and like maybe 5 or 6 confidants.
Our
parents, yeah. The first public, okay?
My mom's reaction to reading the thumbnails was, so I'll have 5 copies by August. Ma'am! Like,
Wait a second.
wait 5 minutes.
Yeah. We have to like draw this whole book first. So this is a little piece from Saachi Stories, Chapter 1 by Maia and Lucky Srikumar. Yeah. We have not rehearsed, so this is also, enjoy our...
Off the cuff.
Yes, off the cuff. Do you want to be the
Yeah.
clicker? Okay. It's the setting. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep, beep. Click.
May 20th. Last night, I finished my old journal, so now I have to start a new one. My best friend Lila gave it to me. I love it. I read that if you want to be a writer, you should write every day. I don't always have an idea for a poem or a story, but I can always journal. I guess I should introduce myself again. My name is Saachi, and I live with my parents, Krishnan and Rukmini, and my little sister, Samira, who's a total pest. My favorite classes right now are creative writing and PE.
Saachi, I know you're up. Come eat.
The brackets are thummer, which is my mother tongue. Coming.
Get Kuti up too.
Kuti means little one. Okay. Gotta get ready for school. I'll write more soon. Come on, it's time to get up. Well, I tried. Teeth brushing noises.
Where's Samira?
She wouldn't get up.
You'll be late. Lila's mom is coming soon.
I'm not in charge of Samira. She's impossible to wake up.
Did you even try?
Why is that my job?
You're the akka. You need to be responsible. And you know I'm busy.
Akka means elder sister. Ugh.
Come on, Roja. I'm asking you to do one thing.
Roja means rose. My mom used to call me basically whatever came to her head at the time. Usually it was my brother's name. Grumble. Samira, you really have to get up now. For real. Come on.
No, don't be mean.
Yank. Amma's already annoyed. Brush your teeth. Munch, munch.
There you are. Come here. Let me braid your hair.
I thought we were running late.
Hush. This is important.
Bye, Amma.
What day of the week is it?
Tuesday, sleepyhead.
Good morning.
Morning.
I had the wildest dream last night.
Oh, yeah?
I dreamed we had a school dance in this big field full of stars and clouds, and I had this amazing ballroom dress.
What did the dress look like?
It kept changing colors.
Wow.
Did anything happen?
Brian asked me to dance, but he was taller than in real life.
How romantic. Did you dance?
Yes, we waltzed.
Music.
Yeah. So weird. Why Brian, though?
I don't know. He's cute.
He seems nice.
If you say so.
I never remember my dreams.
I usually don't, but last week I dreamed I was a boy.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Was I there too? Was I also a boy?
No, it was just me. I was walking next to a river barefoot, and I looked in the water and saw my reflection.
But how did you know you were a boy? Did you see yourself naked?
No.
Or was your face different?
No, I looked like myself.
Then how did you know?
I just knew. It doesn't matter. Forget about it.
I was just curious. I'm always myself in dreams.
Oh, I'm all kinds of different things. Recently, I dreamed I was a tiger and also I could fly.
You wish, Goody. Oak Creek Waldorf Elementary School.
The end! Thank you. I guess if someone who is an organizer could let us know if we do have a couple minutes for audience questions, or yeah, we got a bit. Okay, I guess maybe what we'll do is if people have a question, you can raise your hand, and we can, if we will reach, we'll try to hand a microphone out to the question asker, and then we'll keep one here for.
Yeah,
I
can't
could.
tell.
It's quieter, but I think it has some sound.
I felt like I had to project.
All right. Do we have any questions? If not, we'll just chat amongst ourselves. Yes? No?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Gonna see if we can. Yeah.
I was just curious about the new book, what the process is working together. It sounds
Yeah. We have collaborated very intensely. It started, I wrote a first pass of the script, and it started then I really wanted to have one of the characters be Indian American, but I actually had thought of a different character, and I asked Lucky, and I was like, can I pay you to be a consultant on this and read my script and give me advice? And Lucky did a very thorough, wonderful read through with thoughts about this character, that character, and then ended the email with, alternately, it could be the main character. And I was like, galaxy brain, genius, you're so correct. But I can't write that story. Do you want to join me on this project as a co-author? And Lucky said yes.
hell yes.
And then did an entire second pass of the script, like a big overhaul, changed characters' names, helped me character designs, added a lot of scenes. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the scenes that you added. Like this whole
Yeah.
first scene, you wrote a lot of this chapter because it's like Yeah.
I really don't remember who wrote
I
what.
know.
Like, but the process, like, since like agreeing to help write the book, we don't live in the same city, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's a lot of Zoom calls, I would say.
Yeah.
Talking on the phone.
Talking on the phone and like passing the script back and forth, passing character designs back and forth.
Sometimes, like, literally both being on a phone call while also having a Google Doc open and both of us typing in it at the same time in different places. So the text is like shifting down here and then also down over here.
May I? Oh, yes. I talk too much and you're hogging the mic.
Oh my God.
But yeah, like sometimes we'll even do a call. I'll be like, I know I said I would write the scene, but I'm struggling. And then we'll work it out together. And that has been so helpful. And I also was like, there's a lot of my culture I want to bring in. Like, I'm Hindu, my family's Hindu, and like that's actually part of Saachi's like identity journey. And I can't imagine the book without it.
Yeah.
So
It is 1000% better for having been made by two brains instead of one brain alone, I would say. And in general, if you can have more brains working on your project, I recommend it. Yeah.
also, side note, we met because my best friend and roommate in college is your sibling.
Yeah.
And that's how we met.
Yeah.
And this younger sibling character.
Yeah, the character I was reading in the story is deeply based on my younger sibling, who is Lucky's best friend and the person who introduced us.
So we both can write that character.
Yeah, that's really fun. Yeah. I also say, so in addition to the books that these two authors read from, they're also both writing another book. And I think we all did the thing where we all wrote a memoir and we're following it up with a fiction. We're all doing that. So I don't know if either of you want to talk about maybe also the process of going from writing a memoir to writing a fiction.
Sure. Yeah. It's hard. I think with my memoir, I felt a lot of free rein. I'm like, you can't correct me. It happened to me. And so I think with fiction, especially, I'm writing like queer fiction. I'm writing for YA. I think there's a lot of pressure to have good representation in a way that like doesn't exist for straight books. And so I'm just like, oh gosh, I hope nothing's a problem here, you know? So it's a lot of, I think it took a lot more. I think I kind of baby stepped my way into it. This next book is still based on an experience I had. It mirrors the story very closely, just gayer. Basically. But it's what I wanted to do though, because I started it as another memoir and I realized like, I want to write an out non-binary character. I want to write a fat character. I want to write someone who looks more like I do today and has more of those experiences. I wanted to write a brown character. I wanted to write someone that has different experiences than me too. And so that's kind of how it came to be. So I guess I can talk a little bit about it. Tentative title, still not sure, but I think so. I think my editor's going to let me do it. Is called Be Gay, Do Art. So, yeah, we basically just said, book bans, come at me. And so it is about, based on a summer that I attended a pre-college program. That's where I first fell in love with illustration as a potential career. Because being an immigrant child, you were no one told me to be a lawyer or a doctor, but they would have been pretty psyched about it. And my brother's a teacher, and I'm a designer / artist, so we kind of just ignored that. But trying to find your way financially in the art world as a teen and realizing this is a really cool experience at a really cool college and I love it here and I'm making friends and I can actually be out and also I can't afford it ever. So yeah, it's about that and how screwed up our art system is.
Very hyped for that. Same. Awesome. I am also, writing a fiction. I think we were just talking about this earlier, where a lot of people will ask, like, oh, are you going to do another memoir? And you're like, no, I've lived like 9 months since I published it. They're all in the pandemic, so there's nothing to write about. But yes, mine is also fiction, and it is a queer young adult rom-com. And this actually came about because when I first sold Messy Roots, I sold as a 2-book deal, and originally my editor saw a bunch of like short comics I had made on my website about some of my like girl crushes growing up, and so she was like, "Oh, this is cute. Why don't you like write about like a queer love story?" And like ideally your own. And then after Messy Reads, I was like, I hope to never talk about myself ever again. But on top of that, I realized there was one big flaw. And the flaw was that while I did have a bunch of girl crushes, I was still deeply closeted in, the Deep South up until I left that to go to college in the Northeast. So I didn't actually have a real love story to write about. But I did have a ton of very messy, but also very life-changing love stories after that. And I was like, what if I just take that, move it to this fictional setting and age them to be high schoolers, and then we have a book.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically what happened. The book is also tentative title, but it's called Kirby's Rules to Falling, and then in parentheses, in love. And the reason for this is because Kirby is a high school queer Asian American who, after suffering a climbing accident, she's a climber. After suffering a climbing accident, has to join the school newspaper for credit, and then ends up meeting someone where they start to hook people up together based on their astrological signs. So they do kind of a astrological love column, and through that, Kirby learns more about herself, her queerness, also her relationship with being queer and also religious and astrology. So yeah, that is overall the book. And in terms of challenges as well as benefits of fiction versus nonfiction, one benefit is that I do get to remove myself from kind of the overall gaze of these characters in the story. They're very much deeply still based off of my life, but I get to kind of craft it into my own. If I didn't have my crazy dramatic high school love story, now I can. And then the challenge is definitely that you do have to craft everything from scratch. I can't just be oh, here's my memory. No, everything is brand new. So that is definitely challenges and benefits of writing fiction. Have any more questions from the audience, or did you want to respond to that?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that or at one point we were we're gonna set this in the early 2000s, and then we were maybe not, but maybe Saachi just doesn't have a cell phone.
Yeah. This is, because definitely, I mean, Saachi's stories has pieces that are drawn from my life, pieces that are drawn from Lucky's life. We talk about Saachi, the main character, as a Steven Universe-esque fusion of the two of us in junior high. And I was in junior high in the early 2000s, and at first we were should we try to set it in kind of that year, which is when you're talking about setting a story in 2009, and it affects what technology, what social media, how much sort of access kids have to things,
especially especially the fact that now a kid would just Google non-binary and or girl boy question mark, and then they would get something, or
probably my book or one of these two people's books.
Absolutely. And and we're trying to reconcile that with the fact that we want to write someone who doesn't really know isn't familiar with those ideas, and does Google it at some point. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe one more question. It has been a lot, very much, I would say it has been. Genderqueer has been the most challenged book in the US for 2 years now, and I did look at the previous book before Genderqueer that was #1 per the ALA's list was also a book about trans youth, also by a non-binary author, and that was a book previously titled George, it's been renamed as Melissa, by Alex Gino. It spent 5 years in the top 5, and when I realized that, I was I need to brace myself. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It's been weird. It's been very strange. I mean, it has led to some opportunities. I've been on NPR numerous times. I got to speak at the Library of Congress earlier this year. There've been interesting opportunities and conversations that have come out of it. but it's also been just so exhausting. I get so many emails generally about horrible policies that are being passed in various parts of this country, and libraries that are being defunded, and libraries and teachers who have lost their jobs to trying to defend my book and freedom of speech and stand up against censorship and all of these sorts of things. And I definitely do not take the challenges as like a valid critique of my work, especially since a huge portion of the people who challenge my book and others will state in the form they've submitted, I didn't read the book, but I don't think it should be available in this library. So I'm like, well, that person, I don't need to listen to what they're saying about my work that they probably barely skimmed. But I do take it as a pretty scary warning sign of just sort of where we're at as a political climate in this country. And I also think that, I mean, it shows partly the power of narratives. And I think all of us here are authors, partly because we were deeply touched by a story. And I think I can speak for all of us to say, like, we like reading and then finding queer stories was like so meaningful to us as teens and as young people when we were coming up. And providing those same kind of like queer stories and queer stories with intersectional representation is like our life's work. And we're doing that because we know it's important and we know it's impactful, and we know that like future young people will like need these stories. And then if they get them when they're kids or teens, instead of getting them as an adult, means that they can just know themselves sooner and they can move past, like, I spent probably 15 years with the main concern in my mind being like, who am I? What is my gender? What is my sexuality? And because I was so involved in those questions, I couldn't ask the next question that comes after that. And so if you can answer that question for yourself a little sooner, you can then move on to whatever the next sort of like question of your life is going to be. So I would say that like the book challenges to me say, my work has impact, my work has made waves, and my work is a canary in the coal mine of our sort of current political climate. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I did, in fact, post a comic, my very last, alas, RIP to the Nib. I know everyone here is probably a supporter and lover of the Nib. Yes, today was their very last day, and very sweetly, the editor-in-chief, Matt Boris, emailed me about 2 months ago saying, hey, do you want to write one last piece for us about this challenges in this book band stuff, and we're going to run it on our last day as part of our final hurrah, the grand finale of the comics burst before they close the doors and turn off the lights. And I was very, very honored to be sort of commissioned to do that piece. And I'm really happy with how it came out. And my end sort of note of it is like, please do everything you can to support librarians and libraries, because they are the ones that are getting hit even harder, I would say, than authors. At least that's been my experience. So that's up on the Nib today, and I put it on my social media and stuff. So yes.
I cried.
Oh,
I cried reading it this morning. It was really good.
thank you.
Really good.
I appreciate that. The Nib was one of the first sites that ever published me professionally. I published my first comic with them in 2017, and working with those editors is really part of what shaped my nonfiction comics voice. Do you have any other questions?
When I read your book and then had a big cry, and then I was like, hey, Dad, I have a reading assignment for you. And he was like, wow, like, your friend really like can like think so clearly and neatly and like put it on the page and like all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, but let's talk about gender. Like, yes, Maya's amazing. We know this. I've been saying it for years. I'm the hipster of liking Maya. But like, and that was like how I was like, I identify with this. I relate to this. This is me. And, it took him a long time, but he gendered me correctly yesterday. Yeah. Good job, Dad. Yeah. And like, I want us to write a book that helps people gender their children correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge mood. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a question for all of my panelists. Like, how do you take care of yourself, both physically and mentally, when like writing really personal work? From like, I know multiple people in this panel have expressed thoughts about wrist pain to me. And then also like, we all have a therapist. Yes, everybody has a therapist. Okay, excellent. But does anyone have any like things that maybe you have realized you need to do to sort of look after yourself while doing this type of work?
Pacing is a big thing. I was telling Maya earlier, like I morbidly checked like my page rate for the first book, and it was like 9 pages of pencils a day, and that's too many. I can do 4 if I push it now, and I know not to do that. I'm just like I need to be able to be drawing for the next, however long I live. I'm not going to stop. So yeah, I really had to learn to slow down. I did a little physical therapy, and they showed me some good stretches and things like that. And then in terms of therapy, I need that, and I am very consistent with it. And I think, I don't know, writing this book, book 1 here was very therapeutic on its own. I was starting EMDR as I was writing or as I was drawing these pages. And so if you don't know, EMDR involves a lot of visualization. And so there's this scene in the book where these kids play the ethnicity guessing game, which is never fun. And I was just sobbing because I wanted so badly sorry, I'm getting choked up now, to be seen as Mexican, like my mom, who I love and admire so much. And they didn't get it right. And my parents from that lesson took, let's stop teaching them Spanish. Because they're like, this kid is too sensitive. We're in the 90s, people are racist. We're in Texas, people are racist. And I was processing all of that. I've basically had this exact conversation in therapy many times. I still go back to these really, really deep memories that are in this book. And it was really cathartic to write it. And also I remember very clearly, I wrote this as I was coming to terms with my gender too. And now I'm forever attached to a book that translates to girl. So but like, it was really nice too, because I got to go back in the script and correctly gender myself. And that felt great. And so, yeah, it's definitely a process. It's definitely an emotional process. And even with fiction, it is too. It's less so. I think that maybe that's probably why we all kind of scooted over because it's not you're putting out there. And it is so personal when someone critiques it too. Like my favorite bad review of my book is, why didn't they figure out their body issues by the end of the book? And I was like, man, I wish I had done that too. That would have been cool. If at 16, I had figured that out. But that's the thing. People want a narrative, and they want to turn you into a narrative. And people are a lot messier than narratives.
Yeah, for Messy Roots, I also went through a very turmoil phase, not only because of all the identity stuff as we talk about, which is really, really hard to write and talk about, but also because I knew by publishing this book, I would be coming out to my family. And that was a huge, huge deal. I think that if you ever are trying to, put yourself out there, just take pride in that's already a very, very brave first step to do. And I think there were 2 things in particular that really helped me through that. I'll start with kind of the physical sides first of just writing a book and dealing with all of that. As I said in the bio, I have early onset back pain. And I'm in my 20s. I probably shouldn't, but now I realize that everyone in their 20s also has it. But I did realize that posture is huge, huge. If you can, the best purchases I ever made were this stand that propped up my iPad. I also picked up climbing and just kind of got a hanging bar to put over my door just so I can stretch out my back every day. And that was also instrumental. And then in terms of the emotional side, always have a partner or a friend or just someone to continuously check in on you, because it is such a solitary job unless you're co-writing, which now I'm I should co-write. Yeah, but if you're not co-writing, it is such a solitary job. And as an artist in particular, every time I look at my page, it's either black or white. It's either I love this page or I'm the worst artist in the whole wide world.
Yes.
And on the days where it is the latter, I realized I need to just kind of get out of my drawing cave, talk to my partner, talk to a best friend, talk to someone that can really just be hey, take a step back. You're not the worst artist in the world. I actually really like this, and here's ways that we can talk about it, just in case you don't for some reason. And like just doing that every few days has been huge for my mental health and my career.
I haven't been published yet, but or written a memoir.
Don't you have a piece in a book that's probably like in this
Yeah,
store right now?
probably.
Yeah.
See, this is the best because I have so much imposter syndrome, and Maya's like, no, we deserve to be here, and it's like, but you're saying that, like, who am I? Like, but like constantly, like, no.
Someone who co-authored a book that got a 6-figure book deal from a major publisher. Okay.
I am really proud of our book. I can't wait for all of you to read it.
Yeah.
But
also don't hold your breath. It's gonna be
it's
like
gonna be a minute. Mom. But just one of the things that keeps me going is community. And that is for anything you are struggling with, there is a community. And you might think, wait, disabled Indian queers? There's a community. Yes, we exist. We are here, and we have a Discord page, a Discord channel. Hit me up. But like, hit me up. It's just me in there. I'm kidding. But recently I went to Desi Pride event. Desi, it means South Asian. So it's a South Asian Pride event, and I only cried once before going. I was like so scared to be there because my whole life Desi people have been like, okay, but you're not Desi. You know, you're not Desi enough. And I was like, I can't go to this. Everyone's going to know all the Bollywood music and like, you know, and they're going to be like, so what language do you speak? And I'll be like, English, you know, and like other things in my head, quietly to myself. But my roommate hyped me up and they said, I was like, I need to cut my hair. And they yelled really aggressively, it's boyish charm. And I was like, okay. So I got there and the MC gets on stage and the first thing he says, you are Desi enough. And I was like, I wish my parents could see this because they think that queer people are white. And here's this rainbow of Indians and Sri Lankans and Pakistanis and everyone. And they were playing Bollywood music, and it was awesome. It's probably one of the best decisions I've made was to like seek out that community because it made me feel like it's okay to be me, and like that has been like such a core part of getting through being who I am is finding people like me, and that's kind of what the comic is about too. Like that I read. It's like, it's shocking how many people have been through the same shit you've been through and understand it on a level no one else does. And you gotta find those people. Yeah.
I relate to that so much, and I feel like I wrote a book that was so much about my interior struggles, and I thought, who will possibly relate to this or find this interesting? And now I get people messaging me saying, it's like you read my diary and you wrote my memoir. And they will be like, my name's also Maia. I'm also from Northern California. I also went to Waldorf school. I'm also non-binary. And I'll be like, dang, no one's unique. But it's really great because I felt deeply alone in my gender struggles through my teen years. And I also found writing the book very cathartic. And I think writing it helped me articulate things that I had never clearly even stated to myself before. Yeah. And that, for me, the writing of it was a very useful project for me to understand myself. And now, whenever anyone says they related to it, I also feel less alone in the world. So that is, despite the weird amount of backlash and shit I've had to deal with, I still am so happy that I published this book, and I consider it one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life. So, no regrets.
I think if the people who banned your book actually read it, they might relate a little bit too. And I think that's what they're scared
They're
of.
afraid of that. Yeah, they don't want to relate to it. That would be too scary. Too scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
They might have to question something about their identity.
Oh God.
Which is hard. It is hard to look at your identity and be like, what is this? Who am I? How do I want to be in the world? How do I relate to others? But also, it is very good to do that. Yeah, maybe this is the end of our program. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's perfect. I just want to say thank you again. Some of my co-speakers here traveled pretty far to get here, and I'm just really grateful that they said yes. This was my first pick of fellow readers, and I was also like, I want a all non-binary, all memoir panel of people talking about the topics that I care about, which is like identity and place and world and family and all of these topics like mixed together. And so immigration, language, I too am trying to learn Spanish. It's tough. Literally my last Spanish class, my teacher brought up how should I what feminine or masculine word endings for you? And I was like, my Spanish is not good enough to answer that question. I'm so sorry. We tried. We worked on it. But anyway. Yeah. And I did bring that up. Anyway, it's a whole conversation. But anyway, language, gender, I find all these stuff very, very interesting and cool. So, but anyway, thank you so much to our audience for coming. This is a Wendy's Zine store. You can find work by all of us probably here. And also all of us will be at the Zine Fest on Sunday. So 11 to 5. Yeah.
Will you hold this chair?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yes.
Also, just wanted to thank our interpreters, Nicole and Rob, for being here. Thank you so much. And Fox for filming back there. Thank you. And of course, Silver Sprocket, who are hosting us for this event and the after party on September 3rd. One last question, though, before we go. Where else can people find you, like your work? It could be here. It's going to be at SF Zine Fest. Any social media stuff we should just shout out? Yeah, I know it turned off, and I was like, it's there.
I'm the only Maia Kobabe posting English on the entire internet, so just give it a Google.
There was a Christine Suggs who played field hockey. I have defeated her.
In the
Not in field hockey. I can't do any of that. But yeah, see Suggs illustration. I'm mostly on Instagram, so come at me.
Nice. I'm on all socials at Hey Laura Gal, and then you can also find my book, I believe, in that corner and wherever else books are sold.
I used to make a lot of comics about my partners, so it's called diamoric.comics with an X because I make bad decisions. And the easier way to find me is to just find them and then click on the link because they posted about this event and tagged me, so I'm there. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, Zine Fest, for hosting us.